The first time Adanna noticed Obinna was on a Monday morning, the kind of morning that carried the scent of Lagos's restless energy. The streets were already brimming with life, hawkers shouting their wares, impatient drivers blaring their horns, and the scent of freshly fried akara mixing with the dusty heat. Adanna, a 22-year-old final-year student at the University of Lagos, adjusted the strap of her backpack as she hurried to the bus stop. She was running late for her morning class, and the last thing she needed was the stress of missing the only bus that could get her to school on time. She let out a sigh of relief when she spotted the familiar yellow danfo bus parked at the stop. The conductor, a wiry man with a deep voice, yelled, "Oyingbo! Yaba! Unilag!" His voice cut through the early morning chatter. Adanna quickly climbed in, squeezing into the last available seat by the window. That's when she saw him. Obinna sat 2 seats away, engrossed in a book. His deep brown skin glowed under the soft morning light, filtering through the window, and his neatly twisted dreadlocks framed his angular face. There was something about him, perhaps the quiet intensity with which he read, oblivious to the chaos around him, that caught her attention. She couldn't help but steal glances at him, intrigued by how at ease he seemed in the middle of Lagos's morning madness. Their first conversation happened purely by chance. The bus had just pulled up at a crowded junction when a reckless Okada rider swerved dangerously close, startling the passengers. In the sudden jolt, Adanna's water bottle slipped from her grip and rolled toward Obinna's feet. "Oh no," she muttered, reaching for it. Obinna looked up from his book, his dark eyes meeting hers for the first time. Without a word, he picked up the bottle and handed it to her, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Thanks," Adanna said, offering a shy smile in return. "No problem," he replied, his voice calm and deep. She noticed his accent had a distinct Anambra lilt, like someone raised in the heart of the Igbo-speaking region, but comfortable in Lagos's fast-paced rhythm. Curiosity got the better of her, and she tilted her head slightly, trying to catch the title of his book. Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. "You like Achebe?" she asked, the words slipping out before she could stop herself. Obinna's eyes lit up, surprised, but pleased by the question. "Yes, he's one of my favorites. You?" Adanna nodded. "Of course. Achebe was my first introduction to deep storytelling. I love how he captures our culture so effortlessly." That was the beginning. Over the next few weeks, their bus rides became their safe haven. They met almost every morning, taking the same route, and their conversations grew longer. They talked about books, music, and dreams. Adanna, an aspiring writer, often shared snippets of the story she was working on. Obinna, an architecture student, spoke passionately about designing spaces that honored both tradition and modernity. "Lagos is beautiful in its chaos," he once said, gazing out the window as the bus rolled past a street lined with old colonial buildings. "But sometimes I wish we held on to more of our traditional aesthetics." Adanna found herself drawn to the depth of his thoughts, the way he saw the world differently. And Obinna admired her passion for storytelling, how she found beauty in the simplest moments. Their bond deepened with each ride. Then came the misunderstanding. One morning, Adanna arrived at the bus stop expecting to see Obinna. She waited, her eyes scanning the crowd, but he never showed up. Maybe he was running late, she thought. But as the days passed, his absence stretched into weeks. She didn't have his phone number. They had never needed it before. Their daily bus rides had been enough. But now, she felt a strange emptiness in her routine. Had she said something wrong? The answer came unexpectedly. One evening, Adanna visited a bookstore in Yaba, searching for a new novel to read. As she browsed through the shelves, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "I'd recommend Half of a Yellow Sun if you haven't read it yet." Her heart skipped a beat. She turned to see Obinna standing there, his expression hesitant, as if unsure how she would react. "You disappeared," she said, unable to hide the hurt in her voice. Obinna sighed. "I didn't mean to. I got an internship opportunity in Abuja, a once-in-a-lifetime chance to work with one of Nigeria's top architects. I left in a hurry and didn't know how to reach you." Adanna's lips parted slightly in surprise. She should have been happy for him, but all she could think about was how much she had missed their conversations. "I wanted to tell you," Obinna continued, "but I thought maybe it wouldn't matter." Adanna frowned. Of course it mattered. You mattered. For the first time since she met him, she saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "I'm back now," he said softly, "and I'd like to pick up where we left off, if you'd let me." She studied him for a long moment before breaking into a smile. "Only if you still take the same bus every morning?" Obinna chuckled. "Deal." And just like that, they found their way back to each other. Adanna and Obinna's story is a reminder that connections can form in the most unexpected places. Sometimes life may pull us apart, but if something is truly meant to be, it will always find its way back. This story is also a call to action, to cherish the people who bring light into our lives, to communicate openly, and to never take moments of connection for granted. Whether in a crowded Lagos bus or a quiet bookstore, love has a way of finding us when we least expect it.